adult beverages are poured, the kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming. It's a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives.
My name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Each week, we try to show that just because you became a dad
Does not mean it's game over.
Yes. I'd like to blame our lack of harmony on internet streaming and like syncing, but we're just bad at singing, I think.
Yeah.
So for anyone watching the video, apology for our faces, but besides that, we are decked head to toe in Nintendo regalia. We had just come from Dad's Night In, an event that Nintendo has. We've had the pleasure of attending this a few times.
Yeah.
And always so honored to be so. Like, it's really fun. The team at Nintendo treating us so well. And it was great to see. So they were reviewing some of the biggest releases they had. We talked about Zelda. We talked about the upcoming Donkey Kong, Dragon Quest 2 remake.
Yep.
Sorry, Dragon Quest 3 2D to HD remake, and just a whole bunch of other games. Played a little bit of Super Mario Party Jamboree, which I'm proud to say this podcast 2 podium finishes.
I know, right? I think we have just made Nintendo very proud of us, and I know they're listening to the show to invite the greatest dads.
Well, okay, easy.
Yeah, hype us up. What are you doing? Don't minimize this. We won.
The very grateful dads that are super. I'm trying to say, like, we're taking shots now at other podcasts.
No. We'll just play again. Yeah.
Well, if you recall, on the previous one, we were actually playing Mario Kart.
Yes.
And one of the, if you remember the name, please say it again. But because I'd love to shout out his channel. But he was a professional Twitch streamer, and it's all Mario Kart, and it was horrific. This guy was so good.
Yeah. It's not
like,
even.
You would swear it's old school, where you would claim it like the person's cheating because he was just that great.
Yeah.
But it was all legit. Just, it was amazing to see. So that's why I'm just a little cautious on being too blusterous about our victories. Anyways, huge thank you to Nintendo. They sent out a little bit of swag. It was great to see that. To see the upcoming titles. And if anything, it's kind of like the continued commitment they have to family gaming. You know, it just becomes like the one thing we've constantly said on the show ultimately is that if you have kids, if you have somebody who's not necessarily a gamer in the house, like, what should I purchase? It's just the Switch. Like, the Switch is like, it's a slam dunk. It's a no-brainer because the Nintendo titles are just of such high quality. And I think you'd agree with that there, Jeff.
Yeah, again, it's the consistency, right? You know what you're getting. You're getting a great game. It's polished up. It's going to play well, right? There's going to be no game-breaking bugs. It's just always play tested, and always the focus is fun, right? So we have a blast with the Nintendo games all the time, and we do recommend, like, if you're not sure which one to start with, Nintendo's always a great start for anyone, for sure.
Yeah. And it's the console itself, right? Like, first deemed, it's funny to look in retrospect when they first announced the Switch. It was wild. Like, it was out there. Like, you had these tiny little Joy-Cons attached to this square screen, but the screen is the console, and then you can plug it in. And
the whole docking was like, what?
Like, what is this thing? And yet, in the fullness of time, like, it just ended up being so flexible, so fantastic. Because if you want to play on the big screen with the entire family, add some Joy-Cons, off to the races.
Yeah.
The kid or yourself want to go take it for some quiet time in another room. Now it's just a personal little console. Goes in the car, goes to the cottage. Like, it's just great. Anyways, I don't want to be too. We've had a long-standing policy on the show is that we don't talk about things just because we are gifted them, or, you know, somebody invites us to an event like this. But the reason we can talk about it is because it is an honest, boisterous, like, recommendation for Nintendo and everything they do. for most.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always a great time, right? And then especially this night, they do it a couple times a year now. I think it's like so well attended, and they themselves have such a great time with it,
Hmm.
that they keep inviting us back, and it's just a fun get together. So it's like a party night that we block out the time as dads, which is hard to do,
Yeah.
and have a play date for ourselves.
Playing Mario Party Jamboree.
Yeah,
Just like adults like to do.
that's right. Pour that beverage and go into the jamboree.
There it is. Hey, so thanks, Nintendo. Guys, Christmas coming up, of course. If you're going to dip your toe back into the console world and want to get it for your family, Nintendo just can't be beat. It's the way to go. That's an honest recommendation from it. But beyond that, speaking of Nintendo, they have continued to kind of foray into mobile and seem to be doing a decent job of it as far as not being too gotcha with some of the monetization policies. I can't say they entirely avoided it, but that's almost to be expected. But they did send along a copy of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, which you were able to play, Jeff. So I myself, you're the better one to review this. I've never played an Animal Crossing game, just not my jam. So you have a good reference point. How did this one hit on mobile?
Yeah, so this one came out a while ago, probably a year ago, as like a free-to-play title. So you can get into it, and then things were using in-game currency to make the world happen, to buy other things and visit other places, right? So you could purchase things along with it, but Nintendo came out with this newer version where it's like $10 Canadian, as far as I know, and you get all the stuff in there without having to do all that jazz of getting the currency and kind of saving up and going along with it. So my kids love Animal Crossing on the Switch itself. And so when this initially came out, it was the perfect game to play when you're in like the dentist office or the waiting room, like very chill, relaxing game, not too stressful, right? It's just Animal Crossing is very like lazy, relaxed kind of game. And they transferred that perfectly into the mobile space. So with this new version, I found that like just not having to worry about a lot of the stuff that was the free to play element, and just having that kind of just there for you. And they've since releasing that game, they had, little like seasons that would come along with it, and more content was released. This includes all that. So
great. Okay.
Great game for that. There is some time element to it, so you can't like do everything right away. Everything is like, oh, this coach will take a minute to build, and you have to run away and do something else and come back to it. But again, kids have no sense of time, so you can give this to them and not have to worry.
Now, to be honest and kind of not call them out necessarily, but to, apply the same standard, can you pay to speed up that transaction? So if it's going to take a minute, you can pay real world money to speed it along.
So as far as I know, in this version of it, you can't pay real money to speed it up, but you do need to earn the in-game currency to speed up. So you can't just build everything immediately. You still need to use the in-game currency that you can earn through the games and time itself. But as far as I know, you can't pay more extra dollars. That upfront fee is already done. So it's the $10 entry fee.
Excellent. So you can't. So if I wanted to speed run it and I really want to get this thing built, I can't spend like $5 real money just to make it happen.
No, as far as I know, no, there's no way to do that. You just need, I think they're like leaves in this or whatever the currency is to speed it up. So you should be pretty safe. I haven't got tons of time into it. So if it changes later on, I'll let everybody know and be like, hold on, lock down those in-app purchases. But as far as I know, no, there's nothing in there. So
that is great. Like that really helps with being able to recommend this, because anything with that kind of gotcha type of components where it just, especially introducing it to youth, it's like, hey, youth, you have plenty of patience. I'm sure this isn't going to just smack you in the face and you're going to try to find some way to get currency. Yeah. So it's nice to see that they would release just a complete package.
Yeah.
And pass it along. So awesome. Thanks for that copy of the code. Looks like a good entry into this series. And especially if you have it on your phone, you're waiting with your little one, as you said, at the dentist or anywhere else like that. Seems like you'd while away a few minutes, make the wait a little bit more bearable.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's take about the hardest pivot we possibly could.
Let's do it.
Me too. Because what we had Black Friday and Cyber Monday just pass.
Right.
And with it comes the opportunity to grab games. And perhaps a couple for the kids, but more likely a couple for the dads.
Yeah.
So, Jeff and I aren't made of stone. We're simple humans. We get like compelled for a good deal. And wouldn't you know it, both of us ended up grabbing a couple titles on Cyber Monday. There it is.
Yeah.
And want to discuss some of those pickups. And for any gaming dads who listen, we'd love to hear what you picked up. And just in case the sales are still going on, you can let us know. But if you can reach out to us at New Dad Gaming on all the socials, newdadgaming.com. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment on the show even. Whatever you did pick up, we'd love to kind of hear your review of what other gaming dads are out there based on the sales. So why don't you go first? You decided to, thanks to a deal, dip your toe into my favorite space sim.
Yes, I blame you. Right? This is one of those things where like
So
we sell each
dangerous.
other on games. This is what this show is really for. Yes, Elite Dangerous. Trevor goes on and on and on about space trucking in space and delivering and just chilling out in the depths of the universe. So yes, this thing was on sale and was also offered free through Amazon Prime Gaming, which I just have. So it was great to jump into this thing because it's always been on my wish list. I have played it before, I think on console, but never purchased it. So to get this going, again, plays beautifully on the Steam Deck, and it is perfect on there. I could go into some sci-fi space trucking.
It's so amazing. I'd be curious if the mods come over to the Steam Deck. So I'll be honest, I tend to enjoy the stock standard version of it, and I also use VR as much as I can with it. So I prefer not to, mess. I'm concerned that some of that would like kind of mess with the virtual reality rendition of it.
That's true.
Two that would be of interest to you, I believe, is you had mentioned that you hate the orange.
I don't know what it is, but I do not like that orange. I don't know what it is, but yes, I'd like to change it.
For anyone who's seen the game or looks up the game, the cockpit of the spaceships inside Elite Dangerous are very aggressively orange.
They're just always orange. Like everything is orange.
However, there are some very simple mods, and I think it might even just be a program because that is literally a hex code just in a file.
Oh, perfect.
So you can either just go to the file and then choose like a nice blue. And you'll often see that with people who stream it is they have kind of like a nice purple or blue or something like that. Or I think there's even like a little program or a mod, and then you can just choose your own adventure for it. The other one that I thought of you for was if you want to stream some Netflix or some anime, maybe like Attack of the Titans, while you're space trucking on those longer journeys.
Okay.
There's a mod that you can include that has like a little TV screen that sits in your console.
This gets so much better. Okay. All right.
So while you're space trucking, which is the best part, is that they built a game where they try to impose upon you some sense of the size and distance of space.
Yeah.
Where it's like, look, we're not going to have it take an hour for you to go between stars, but it's going to take a little bit of time so you can appreciate the vastness of space.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it a ton, especially if you go on an exploration mission, which is just go to the black and there's absolutely no stations or anything to see.
Right.
You can just have a little screen, and the whole time it's streaming videos. So you're in your little space truck and you're watching a couple videes on the side and just enjoying the empty black void.
That is fantastic, especially being on the Steam Deck. If it works, I could literally play in front of a TV and have the TV in game.
There you go.
With, that little window happening. So perfect.
Oh, that was amazing. So let's hop to one that I picked up. I've been looking at this one for a while. Ever since I knew that it came to PC, and this is Spider-Man. So the new release from Sony, number one. Because I had watched with envy all these like the gorgeousness of this game, how much fun it looked like as far as like whipping around. Like it seemed like such a phenomenal implementation of the swinging mechanics in an open world, and but it was on Sony, it was on PS4, PS5. And I will say I did have a small taste. I did play. We on this podcast had tested the PlayStation streaming service.
Oh, okay.
And for the month that I had it, I did dip into Miles Morales.
Right.
A very short little period of it, but even then it was like, oh, this is good gaming. Man, this is like this is gaming at its core. And anyways, it came up, it was like $30 for Spider-Man 1, the Sony title, and just fantastic. Like, my God, is it so much fun. It's like cinematic, stunning and gorgeous. You feel so powerful and connected as Spider. Like, they've done the video game thing where you get to feel like you are Spider-Man. It is that entire power fantasy of it. And with all the settings and everything else it does, just what a blast.
Absolutely. And I will say, from a gaming dad perspective too, my kid has beaten this thing like 3 times. Like, not a problem. I think even on the hardest difficulty, because it's got that Arkham Asylum, like the Batman. So you have the Spidey sense that goes off before somebody hits you. So it's very easy, easy to get into, but difficult to master. So it is great for kids if you allow them, just the physical violence of stuff and being Spider-Man and going around saving people. So it is pretty easy to get into.
I'll say that even with the first, if you think about the first scene, which, this game's old enough, I don't care about spoiling it. Like, you're fighting Fisk and you're in his building, and I don't want to call it, like, it's not terrifying, but it's very intense. Like, it is an intense fight. There's a lot going on. There's some gunplay. There's not a lot of like blood or gore or anything like that. So as far as like kid violence, it's very much just a Marvel movie, like that level.
Yeah. That's a good point, because my kid just skips those scenes. So as I mentioned before, they do care about the story.
Man, that is so cool.
I know they don't. Nothing.
Yeah. No. Anyways, awesome pickup. I'd recommend it for anyone who had a PC and had to skip it because they aren't on the PlayStation wing of it. Man, what a great title! That was like $30. Now you got a little taste of space trucking.
I did.
You didn't get enough. You had 2 additional. Which, by the way, I have both these as well. Because once you get in, you want to see vastness of space, buddy.
Yeah.
But you picked up not 1, but 2 additional space titles in addition to Elite Dangerous. Like, my word, man.
I know. I don't know. I got a taste for it, and I had to just continue. I love space as much as you. Well, maybe not as much as you, but like, I like being in the vastness of space, and I really like dogfighting with other like units and seeing sparks fly off and smoke trails and whatever else. Just fun laser battles in space. Everspace 2 was one that was highly recommended by the community. So got out there, and there's a demo for it on Steam for anyone that's just wary about picking it up, but will absolutely recommend if you are into space dogfighting, right, with your ship, and you build it like an RPG. You get like new weapons and armor and shielding, and you have to make little choices, and the whole like universe is kind of open world to you. This is the game. Everything is a side mission, which, just be wary of that. There's lots of side missions going on, but it's just so much fun to fly around and just do these little battles. Some happen scripted, some don't. And the size and scale of this thing, this is one that I think I will spend some time on. And again, we'll plug that it works perfectly on the Steam Deck. So I am just in space portably.
Yeah, it is like, that's fantastic. Like, it's a lot more. It's not as big as Elite Dangerous, but it's almost in a good way, in that it's not the entirety of all of our known universe. It is a large space universe. So you're never wanting for more in its size, but it's a bit more condensed down and controlled as far as action, RPG, build out your ship, play the way that you want to build the ship that you want to pilot, and pilot it how you want to do, with 1,000 things to do, a bit more like tightly controlled. So it feels like, as you said, like, just feels fantastic when you're flying around.
Yeah, no, I highly recommend. And if you did get on Black Friday sale, and if it's still going on with maybe the autumn Steam sale or whatever's coming into play, definitely pick it up. Highly recommend.
Excellent. Now, but you didn't stop there. That's like,
I didn't. I got addicted.
Now, this one I couldn't believe you got this one, because I had picked up this one purely for the space VR angle of it, only to learn that you got it as well. You picked up another space game, Jeff.
I did. So House of the Dying Sun is this. If you've ever played Homeworld, I used to love Homeworld. It was this RTS set in space. And this game, while not totally RTS, has like strategic elements that you have to kind of plan out your attack, and then you go into one of the ships and it's your point of view and you're flying around fighting stuff. But it's done in that kind of, I won't say like polygon look to it, but it's very much, it's an aesthetic that it's going for, and it totally like knocks it out of the park. Again, this one is like a good pick up and play one, because missions can be anywhere from like a minute, like get in, get out. This is your target. You need to avoid these things. Do it as fast as you can. And then maybe like 5-10 minute battles. And you just go around the map, right? There, you go back to a map screen and you pick your next mission and blah, blah, blah. But it's a good pick up and play one. So whereas the other one, you're kind of like in this vast open world and, oh my God, I got to do all this stuff and I don't know where to stop. This one, you could just do a couple missions, in and out, done. I would love to do this in VR, because the community recommends playing this in VR. So you have to tell me if you boot this one up, like, Jeff, get a MetaQuest. Like, just do it. You'll love it.
Hey, Jeff, you need to say, hey, real quick, you need to spend $600 for plastic that goes on your face. Let's go.
I mean, I'm there with you. I'll be in space. That's the only way I can get there. So
now for this, I did have one interesting experience. I'd be curious if any of the gaming dads listening have had the same. These type of games do lend themselves in a way to spectating. What I have found is that both my sons are actually fairly interested in it, more towards like Elite Dangerous is one I have on the screen more often. But there is something about space and spaceships and then gun battles, and because what happened, like I was booting up to make sure it'd work on my system, and then my kid wanders in and wonders what it's about. It's like, hey, well, check it out. It's a space game, and we're going through the ships and everything. It's like, oh, cool, let's go fight somebody. It's like, okay. So I like built out kind of a fighter, and then just went to you can go to a beacon, and then you could just like find people who are wanted and kill them space style.
Yeah.
And he was all about it. Like he's my little co-pilot, like prompting me on. It's like, get another one, let's go. Like he was having a fantastic time. So that was really fun, because it at the same time, I think it was, I don't know if he knew it was like during just a week and he's not allowed to play games, so he didn't bother asking, or if he saw how hard it is to control the ship. He's like, you know what, you just do you.
Yeah.
But it was great to have a little co-pilot. So I do wonder, have your kids peeked over your shoulder with any of these space games and expressed an interest?
Yeah. So I will say that when I loaded up Elite Dangerous, Everspace 2 and docked it to the TV, my 11-year-old came in and be like, oh, this looks cool, right? Like, just the way it was
snap, it's so
flying
great
around, like, yo, go get them, right? And so, like, again, like you were saying, and like your own little cheerleading crew, like, go get them, you can do better, blah blah blah, right? I will say that my 11-year-old gets motion sickness though, so it didn't last a long time, especially in like, again, space. You're whipping around, you're rolling, you're doing all these like crazy maneuvers, so they had to like take a break. So I can't even play these space games in front of my wife, because again, motion sickness, it drives them, it's not a good time.
Bonkers.
But my kid just came in and loved the space game. My 14-year-old could care less, but my 11-year-old was all about it. So I did have a co-pilot, at least for a little bit. So I'm there with you. It was a good time. It's a good feeling to have that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because space and all kids just seem to love astronauts, stars, spaceships, or what. But like I have found that, and I was curious to see if you had the same.
Yeah,
and would be curious from gaming dads out there if they've had something the same. So, hey, give us a shout there, gaming dads, at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. Now, in addition, you had also picked up, the next one for Mob Factory.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak now. That's going to be purchased, or is purchased already for the kids?
So that's already purchased for my 11-year-old who asked for it, which is great. They give me my list, and during Black Friday.
In the guise of like Christmas?
Pardon? Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. So I just want to set up the story the right way. So it's like now is the time where like one of the best parts about Christmas, and mine have kind of fallen off of this a little bit, where it's like, because we have Game Pass, and I think we discussed this last show, they do not ask for games anymore, because Roblox is all the games.
Yes.
Right? Like, just stolen IP or not, Roblox has all the games, which is great. Or we have Game Pass in the household, so it's like, look at all these games I can just get. So when it comes times for birthdays or Christmas, it's not, hey, can I have this game? I would like to have this game for I'd have one game for Christmas, please, sir. Never happens. So what excited me when you introduced this story was that your kid actually just, hey, can I please have this game for Christmas?
Yeah.
Which is like, yes, you can, kid. Yes, you can. So why don't you cue it up?
I was again surprised because my kids don't really ask for games anymore. It's more about Roblox and anything else with DLC with the games they already have. So this was a surprise. This was great. And again, during the sale, it wasn't too much money, but it was called Mob Factory. And I looked it up and I'm like, okay, I can see how this could work. It's pretty safe because I do my little due diligence and make sure, you know, what's in it kind of thing. And it's kind of like a puzzle game, tower defense thing. So I'm like, okay, cool. What I will say, so I purchased it through the sale, which is great. Steam is very, very good. I will give them props because no one else can do it on the consoles, at least. You can buy it and you can schedule the delivery. You can put a little message in there and everything's done. It's set to go. It tells you, okay, it's ready. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, I scheduled it for Christmas morning, 7:30
a.m. You can purchase. I've never heard about this before. So if you want to buy somebody a gift game, you purchase it and then say, this is for this person.
Yep.
But don't let them have it until this day.
Correct.
That is so cool.
And time. Yeah.
So it's going to be Christmas morning at like 7 because you don't want them to wake up too early. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
It's a great system. It's just something that should happen on all the consoles, everything, because it makes your life as a dad that wants to buy games for the kids very like just easier. Like again, one even just purchase. I was purchasing stuff for myself, had it in the cart for this, you know, a gift for a game. It's not like a separate purchase either. You just say, this is the Steam user ID. This is the delivery date and time. Here's a little message. Merry Christmas from Dad and Mom. And you're done. That's it. And it's going to be delivered. Perfect.
What did you get this? Do they have some sort of especially if it was on like an iPad or if it was on, well, iPad doesn't have Steam, but if it was on the Steam Deck,
yeah,
like if there's some sort of like unwrapping animation. Tell you what, so what Steam has to do is it shows up and then the left and the right joy controller sticks, are like hands, and like you slowly get to unwrap it before you can play it.
I think that's the next step. Yeah, they will probably do that. There again, Steam will listen to this show. Gabe Newell is just like, oh yeah, what's New Dad Gaming talking about? So yeah, next step. That's next level.
Oh, that is so cool. Oh, hot damn. Anyway, so the game itself, though, what's your thoughts on it? Is a good puzzler, like kind of gets their head thinking, nice little game. Does it scratch your itch? Are you watching and thinking yourself like you're gonna start your own campaign?
It's something that I think I might play with them. So I think you can Steam family share this one, which is great. Again, we'll always recommend that their family system is great. You can share libraries across, no problem. So this is one that actually does have some strategy to it. It's not just like, I hate the clicking games. So like, I'm like, okay, nothing with the clicking. That's all you do. This one has, again, some tactical stuff that they have to think about. So, and it's pretty cutesy. So it's a pass for me. Like it's good. Like they're going to get it Christmas morning. So I was happy to see it too, that it wasn't just another Roblox game or something. So that is still on the list. I'm not saying it's totally gone, but
we came, I tell you, man, we came really close this year to just giving in and buying them Robux, because this year, I think I described on the last podcast where they're just in this weird age where they're too old for toys, but they're kind of too young for something like bikes are always like a winner, but I don't know, like older, like they're not like teenagers yet, but they're not young kids anymore, so they can't get toys and they can't get kind of older stuff. So they're just in this weird age, like what the heck do you get them? And since they don't ask for games, it's like that's at the window as well. So just the fact that the fact that it is so cool to hear that your kids are asking for games. That's like awesome.
Yeah, no, it was surprising too, right? Because it hasn't happened in a while. Like again, last year they didn't really ask for games, so hold out hope, Trevor. It gets better.
It gets better.
It gets better.
Oh, so speaking of getting better, I just want to provide a small update on the small update on the situation I'd found myself in the previous week with. I was trying to. I had a scale of threatening to bribe my child based on his testing in school, because his marks had started to fall off. Like a test that came back and it was not good. We had a whole thing with the scoring, because now his scoring is like 1, 2, 3, or 4. Fine, like if you don't want to call it ABC, if you don't want to call it Fs, like whatever. Anyways, but he got 2s. In my mind, it's like there's no reason with decent effort and who you are, you can't. I know he's capable of 3s, if not 4s, right? So to his where he is and what he can output, I know he can get a 3. So what I had stated to him is that, like, look, if you get a 4, we're going for like stuffed cookies. It's gonna be this fantastic, like, because we pass it every day when we leave school. Looks great. They want to go and test it out, right? So look, we'll go there. I'll get you those if you get a 4 on your test. If you come back with 1s and 2s, like, we're going to remove video games for a while, because you cannot have what a 1 and for him. What a 1 and 2 means is that he's not trying. Like that's kind of the real difference. Like, look, if your kid's going, like, struggling, you support them and get it. But for him, it's like you getting a 1 just means you're not trying. So accordingly, that's why I was like, that was a scale. It kind of backfired a little bit, because that threat just so sank into him, because he so enjoys gaming. And we've been fairly restrictive, because we found during the week it's not advantageous for him. So the weekend is like, that's his gaming time when he wakes up in the morning. So it becomes very precious. And he hears this, and now it's like, oh God, if I don't do good on this test, I don't get games anymore. So he was so stressed out.
Yeah.
I felt terrible. It's like that. It's like, damn it, I did not play this well. I did not. Lesson learned on my side, as far as, and you got to learn, you learn the cadence of your kids, and you learn like their language, right? In that way.
Yeah.
And in one ways, I will gladly kind of push him a little bit, because he needs to learn how to react to pressure and be able to overcome it and, like, succeed and win. So it's not I do not want to remove every challenge from him, but at the same token, that the way that I lay this one out to him seemed to actually be a detriment to his studying. Although he felt pretty confident the day of, and he came back beaming because he knew everything. He's like, "Oh, I knew all the answers on the test." So I suppose, actually, now that I say that out loud, it did work. I'll say this, like, it's cool that it worked, but the way that it worked ultimately, like, I was not comfortable with how he was feeling, because it felt overly negative. Like I said, I almost wanted to that. And I'm not softening. I'll say it this way: even if I hadn't stated that would have been the outcome. Like, I will remove games from him if he does not achieve what is expected of him.
Yeah,
for his own betterment. However, how I bring that up could probably use some work to make sure that it's most advantageous to get him to do the things.
Right.
Have you ever had something where you tried a tactic, and then as you see the outcomes, you're like, that's not it. That's not the way to go.
Yeah. Again, absolutely. When you're just trying things to see what works, what sticks, what resonates with them. A lot of the times, so we would set up the consequence of something. So like you're saying, we would set it up. We found that didn't work. We would ask them what the consequence should be, so they have to think about it, and then they understand it and believe it. Right. So it gives them like a little bit of power, because we don't want to just take things away for the sake of taking things away, though we will step in if, they don't follow their own rules. So we've tried that. It's worked sometimes, but again, it's you're guessing.
Yeah.
There's no handbook here. Again, you know your own kids. What we say here may not work for everyone, and we're happy to listen to others that may have suggestions, because we're willing to try anything and just see how that fits with your family dynamic. Because even having a teenager now, it's very different in terms of taking away things, because that is their now connection to friends and outside world. Like, that is their freedom, right? So we're getting into that dicey phase where I'm more worried about making mistakes, and then they're having ingrained trauma. So I think you're fine. But yeah.
I suppose in some ways, I think because it did turn out so well, and I mean, he was beaming with confidence when he came back. There's a real pride in how hard he had worked, and like how ultimately when the test came, he was very well prepared for it. I don't think I'll push it so hard, but I think what's slightly good about it, I'll still, one way or the other, I'm going to approve my approach because it ultimately wasn't perfect. I can make it better. However, at the very least, I think there's this baseline of understanding that, look, if you don't, there are consequences in this household for not attaining what you should be able to attain.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and not putting in the, more than anything, just putting in the effort. If he worked like a dog the entire, and I saw it and it didn't quite work out, that's just much different than when, you know, it's like he's coming home and he's not really doing any homework and not really taking it seriously. Like that's kind of the difference. Yeah. If anything, like I said, it kind of sets, it wasn't a smooth way to do it, but it has kind of set a baseline of like, there's things on the line.
Yeah.
If you don't do right.
Yeah, for sure. Again, and thank you for airing it out because we need to know that as well.
Yeah.
What mistakes we make.
Yes, sir. All right. Wrap it up there, everybody. Listen, thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. If you have any stories yourself, did you have a particular tactic that worked well with your kids? Did you make any pickups on Black Friday sales or Cyber Monday? Do you want to give us some tips of what we should be purchasing? Do you have a favorite space game, frankly?
Yes.
Anything and anything above. Absolutely adore hearing from fellow gaming dads. Reach out to us at New Dad Gaming or newdadgaming.com if you like the podcast. One of the greatest ways that you can support the show and help us grow out to reach as many gaming dads as possible is to subscribe on any of the podcasting networks, Google, Spotify, Caster, iTunes, anywhere where you can find your podcast. Just search for New Dad Gaming. Subscribe, and if you can leave a comment and a rating, that really helps to get the show out to other gaming dads, grow the community, and help each other out and avoid cookie bribing to get better marks.
That's right. Yeah.
And if you want to go nuts on Black Friday and buy 3 space games, hey man,
we're there for you. We're out in space with you.
Yes, sir. We're your ride or die crew. They're gaming dads. All right. Until next week, everybody. My name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 14-year-old and 11-year-old.
Remember, just because you became a dad
does not mean it's game over.